Alam po natin na ang resignation, you need to file a notice sa employer. Kailangan po merong rendering na tinatawag. Yun po ang
Hmm.
uso ngayon, no? Sasabihin, nagre-render na lang ako pero resigned na ako. Pero may mga nagtatanong po kasi din, paano po pag talagang ayoko na sa workplace? Hindi na po ako masaya or hindi talaga okay sa akin, hindi siya feasible sa akin na manatili dito. Pwede ba akong mag-resign bigla? Yan po yung first question din.
Okay. So gusto niya nang bumitaw talaga, no? Pagka gusto mo nang bumitaw, abay tingnan natin. Kasi sa ilalim ng Labor Code, Article 300, magbibigay ka ng written notice 1 month ahead. Otherwise, the employee will be held liable for damages by the employer. Ano? Now, there are instances doon sa Article 300 in which the employee can resign immediately without notice. Number one, ininsulto siya. There was serious insult against the person of that employee by the employer or the representative of the employer. Number two, unbearable inhuman conditions of employment. And number three, commission of a crime by the employer against the employee. And according to the Labor Code, other causes analogous to the foregoing. So yun lang ang mga dahilan na pwede siyang bumitaw bigla-bigla na hindi nagbibigay ng notice. Otherwise, kailangan natin yung written notice 30 days or 1 month prior to the effectivity of your resignation.
I see. Yun, dapat po malaman nila yan din, no? Kasi
Mm.
ano po ang consequence if umalis bigla-bigla, no? Parang parang may consequences po yata pag-uusapan din natin yan later.
Oh,
Um,
yun. If I may add, sabi ko kanina, pwede siyang singilin ng damages eh. Kaya lang ito, ipafile ito ni employer ayon sa mga desisyon ng Korte Suprema. Si employer magpa-file siya ng action for damages sa labor arbiter. Kaya lang, pag napatunayan na talagang bigla siyang umalis nang wala naman dahilan, eh baka magbayad siya ng damages. So sa halip na kumita siya, eh, mawawalan pa siya.
That's right, no? Kaya, yon kung nakikinig kayo, hindi po ganun kadali bumitaw. Hindi, kailangan po natin i-familiarize, no, itong mga consequences at effects ng mga actions natin dito. Kasi usually po din, no, may mga
Mm.
talagang hindi na kinakaya, no? Talagang some of them, talagang I cannot wait 30 days. Hindi ko na kaya itong rendering period na to.
Oo.
And so, yan ang natatanong na. But it's nice, no, to summarize, no, yun yung sinabi ni Dean. You have to follow the grounds na minention, no, na dito lang po pwede yung immediate resignation without the rendering. So, be careful and read the laws, all right? So, tingnan natin yung next question. Tungkol saan ba itong question number 2?
Mm.
Okay. So, question number 2, no? Ito very common din ito din, no? Natanggal ako sa trabaho dahil hindi daw maganda performance ko. Pwede po ba ito? Because that's, I think, no, in practice is pretty much a common ground for employers to want to terminate somebody. Ako, I personally known friends. And I think dito rin nagsistem yung fear and motivation to perform well, right? Yung mga employees, parang okay, kailangan ayusin natin yung deliverables natin. Ayusin natin ang um, pag conduct ng business natin because takot tayong matanggal. Pero ano po ba yung parameters nito, attorney, no? Ano po ba yung mga valid po ba na instance to?
Okay.
Ang low performance?
Sa ilalim ng Article 297 ng Labor Code, ano? Ito yung just causes for the dismissal. May kasalanan yung employee. Yan, ang tawag dyan ay gross and habitual neglect. So the neglect must not only be gross, it must also be habitual according to the court. Kaya lang in one case, yung LBC versus Mateo, na kapag ka yung negligence is so gross, habituality can be dispensed with. Kaya lang, another thing na dapat tandaan ay yung standards. Ano ba yung standard of efficiency for the employee to perform? Eh dapat alam niya yan at the time of engagement. And the employer cannot change the rules in the middle of the game. So assuming inefficient yung employee, the employer is required to observe due process. How does the employer do that? By giving two notices. First notice, allowing the employee, explaining to the employee ano yung violation, bigyan siya ng opportunity to be heard, at magpaliwanag siya. Within 5 days, kailangan mag-submit siya ng written explanation. And then, pagka talagang, sabi nga ni employee, ginawa ko naman lahat. Pero yan na second notice. That's the notice of termination. So pag wala itong ganitong procedure, the dismissal might be either illegal or ineffectual. So pupunta ka ngayon sa labor arbiter to file a case for illegal dismissal.
I see. And if I may follow up on that po, attorney, no? Since sabihin po natin na ganun nga, hindi maganda yung dismissal, hindi na follow itong procedures na nabanggit nyo. Ang employee po, ano po yung steps na iti-take niya? Paano po ang recourse niya sakaling hindi nga maganda ang dismissal na ginawa sa kanya?
Nabanggit ko, pupunta siya dun sa labor arbiter ng National Labor Relations Commission. So eventually, magpa-file siya ng illegal dismissal case. Then isusubpinan ni arbiter si employer para magkaroon sila ng mandatory conciliation. Pag hindi pa rin nagkasundo within a mandatory period of 30 calendar days, magpa-file na sila ng position paper and the labor arbiter would resolve whether the dismissal was valid or not.
I see, I see. So, ganun po pala. So, yun, friends, take note, no? Ang termination ng employment, itong dismissal, it also has to follow procedural and laws, no? Pertinent laws. Hindi ito pwedeng arbitrary. Hindi pwedeng dahil ayaw lang sa'yo ng employer mo. Tama ba yun, attorney? Hindi pwede yun dahil hindi ka trip. Diba?
Mahirap yun. Kapag ayaw niya makita yung pagmumukha ng employee, he has to observe due process. Otherwise, illegal yung dismissal na yan.
That's right, no? Hindi pwede yung dahil lang sabihin ng boss mo, parang ayoko nung vibe nito. Parang ayoko nung pananalita nito. Parang hindi pala siya ganun ka. It has to be according dun sa mga just causes, no, na tinatawag po natin. Pero also, siguro, related to this question po, some people are also asking, dito po ba pumapasok yung reinstatement? Pagka na-dismiss po ba, tas hindi siya valid? Dito ba siya pumapasok?
Yeah. Pagka nag-order pagka may natapos na yung hearing, and then you submit your position paper, and then the labor arbiter will resolve. And then sabi ni arbiter, there's illegal dismissal. So ang recourse dyan, reinstatement to the former position without loss of seniority rights, plus back wages, plus damages, and of course, do not forget attorney's fees. Then biro lang yan. Back wages computed from the time of actual dismissal up to the time of reinstatement. Now, there are employers who do not want to reinstate the employee. Sabi mo nga, ayaw na makita yung pagmumukha, so ayaw nilang i-reinstate. Yung back wages yan would run until finality of judgment. Meaning, baka umabot ng Supreme Court, haba-haba yung babayaran niyang back wages. Now, on the other hand, under Article 229 of the Labor Code, itong si employer, may option siya na i-reinstate yung employee physically or in payroll. Meaning, magpapasweldohin siya pero hindi siya magtatrabaho. So the employer can recourse to that, can have that recourse or option kapag ka itong tinanggal na employee ay confidential or based on trust and confidence. Hindi kailangan managerial. The Supreme Court has a decision na may mga fiduciary rank and file employees. Halimbawa, yung collector ng kumpanya, yung property custodian, yung cashier ng kumpanya. Di ba, trust and confidence yan kasi you are handling money or property of the company. So pagka tinanggal yan and then illegally dismissed, pinapa-reinstate ni arbiter, the employer can choose to reinstate that only in payroll. Kasi if you allow your cashier na tinanggal mo nga to be reinstated to the former position, it's like allowing Dracula to guard a blood bank. So kaya hindi na yun pinapayagan naman si employer na proteksyonan yung sarili niya.
Yes. All right, that's very interesting, no? Some of you guys might be hearing this for the first time. At ang keyword dito ay fiduciary, no? Din kailangan po fiduciary. And yes, I also understand
trust and confidence.
Yes, it doesn't really make sense na i-reinstate mo nga despite the relationship na may lamat na kumbaga. Right? So, may qualification pala, no? Kapag fiduciary, ibang usapan, only as to payroll. Pero nandun pa rin po ang effect ng reinstatement, no? Protected pa rin po yung right ng employee.
Kasi may maraming desisyon ng Korte Suprema na pagka may order of reinstatement, that's immediately executory and self-executory. Hindi mo kailangan humingi ng writ of execution. So if the employer does not comply, itong abogado ng employee ay mag-a-appeal naman si employer dun sa order na yan, will file an appeal to the NLRC. On your comment, if you were the counsel for the employee, sabihin mo na hindi siya ni-reinstate. And you pray that the salary would continue to accrue kasi i-reinstate siya, deemed reinstated in payroll. Kasi alam mo, in my experience, ang daming mga employers ayaw talaga mag-reinstate. For whatever reason, ayaw nilang i-reinstate. So wala ka naman magagawa diyan kasi hindi mo naman pwedeng pilitin yung ayaw, di ba? Pag ayaw, pinilit mo, masasaktan ka lang eh. So ang gagawin mo na lang diyan, mag-manifest ka doon sa NLRC na hindi siya ni-reinstate despite the order of reinstatement. Para alam ng NLRC, so mag-order siya that the computation of back wages would run from the time of illegal dismissal until finality of judgment kasi hindi siya ni-reinstate.
That's very important, no? Pag pinilit. The joke lang. No, pero yun po, very important yung sabi ni Dina. The period is very important, no? Pero usapan natin dito. So, the computation matters. Kahit the deficiency can be even weeks, no? It runs. So, it's very important to also be aware of the period, no, on when this runs. So, thank you very much for that. I think nalinawan tayo lahat sa question number 2. And on to the next question. Ano yung third question natin dito? Okay. Sabi sa question number 3, nakalagay po sa contract na bawal ako mag-resign for 1 year. Kung hindi, may babayaran po akong training cost. Valid po ba to? I think common din po ito, attorney, sa dining industry po in my experience. Meron pong mga agreements na okay, di ka pwede mag-resign or else i-reimburse mo yung company for these costs. And sometimes po, it's mabigat. Mabigat din po minsan itong cost. At ang question po natin, attorney, valid po ba itong ganitong stipulations?
Well, it depends on the nature of the training. Kung may actual training ka talaga and the employer spent for the training at alam naman na talagang may kontrata ka, you might be required to stay for that long, and if you do not stay, pwede kang singilin ng training cost. Pwede yan. Kaya lang, ang requirement dyan ng Korte Suprema, dapat merong actual training at nakikita ng employee how much did the employer spend para alam niya gaano karami yung babayaran niya if ever. Kasi alam niyo, hindi naman po pwedeng unreasonable yung penalty na sinasabi nila, di ba? So ang training cost niya lang around 50,000, sisingilin ka ng 500,000, that's unconscionable. Exorbitant yan. So dapat reasonable. Kaya lang, it depends on the circumstances kung talagang may actual training.
Ayun, that's right. No, it still has to be verified, sabi ni attorney. Kailangan makita pa rin na may actual training. Hindi pwedeng ito basta mag-name ang company ng price, no? Parang the nature would appear to be it's not really a penalty for resignation, 'di ba? The goal is to reimburse lang the cost na nasayang. And since that is the basis, kailangan po, no, sa mga listeners natin, kailangan makita ang actual cost, no? It has to be may basis ang computation. Tama po ba, attorney?
Yeah, tama 'yan. Kasi hindi po pwedeng unreasonable 'yan eh. So there must be actual basis and the basis for the computation of how much would you be charged kapag ka nag-resign ka.
All right. So, friends, take note, no? Napakahalaga na mga natututunan natin so far, and hindi pa tayo patapos. We're only getting started. So, yun, thank you very much for that knowledge, attorney. On to the next question. Ano yung question number 4 natin? Okay. Question number 4 says, ayan po yung pinag-uusapan natin kanina. Meron po kasing may mga manggagawa tayo na minsan they think that they are justified to leave. Sometimes they think na, okay, tingin ko mas okay for me. It would be better for my health, my mental health, sa kalagayan ko if I just don't show up to work. Pero ano po ba ang effects nito kapag nag-awol? Ano bang legal effects nito?
Yeah, that's absent without leave. Ang sabi diyan ng Korte Suprema, that is a ground for dismissal. Because that is analogous to gross and habitual neglect. Maraming desisyon ng Korte Suprema dyan. Nag-start siya with Agabon versus NLRC and then yung Jaca versus Pakot. Ganito yon. Kapag ka ang employee ay hindi nag-report without any just or valid reason, tapos dalawang elemento ang hahanapin mo. Hindi siya nag-report, walang valid reason. Pangalawa, there is an intent not to return to work anymore. An overt act. Like for example, hinahanap po, hindi nagre-report, naka-report na nagtatrabaho na pala sa ibang kumpanya. So that's an overt act showing that the employee has no intention to report for work anymore. Now, the employer has to observe due process na lang. Give that employee 2 written notices. First notice, asking the employee to explain why he is not reporting back to work. Give him a certain number of days, 10 days siguro, to report back. Otherwise, he would be dismissed. Now, hindi pa rin dumating. After 10 days, padala ng second notice. Na because of the failure to comply with that directive of the employer, he is deemed to have resigned and has given up his position. Huwag na lang gagamitin yung dismiss kasi minsan iko-contest pa yan. So, kailangan magpaalam. Pero kaya sabi ng Korte Suprema dun sa Demex Ratan Craft versus Leron, mere failure to report to work is not enough ground to charge the employee with abandonment. Okay? So, kailangan may overt act. Kaya ko sinasabi sa mga estudyante at sa MCLE, kapag kayong jowa mo hindi nagparamdam na isang araw, hindi ka pa inabandon yan. Baka naman may dahilan, di ba? Mahina signal, walang load, etc. Pero isang buwan na hindi nagpaparamdam, tiningnan mo yung Facebook, in-unfriend ka na, tiningnan mo yung Instagram, in-unfollow ka na, nakablock ka pa sa cellphone, abandonment na yan. Okay?
Kailangan, yun, no? May parameters, no? Parang ang one day, di ka lang na-reply, baka naman nakatulog, no? At baka naman na-busy lang, di ba? Gumagawa ng digest. Nako, may ganyan ba dito? Meron bang hindi nagre-reply sa jowa dito dahil gumagawa ng digest? Nako, aminin. But yeah, the takeaway talaga, no, there are parameters to abandonment. So take note nyo sa ating mga listeners, yung dalawang hahanapin, no? It's not only the non-reporting without reason or without cause. Kailangan merong intent not to return. Kung babalikan ka naman, huwag kang masyadong paranoid. But it's very important, no, to look for these things, 'di ba? Hindi tayo pwede mag-jump into, kaya careful po sa mga employers diyan, no? Hindi tayo pwede mag-jump into awol na to, di siya nagsabi sa akin. Meron pa rin parameters na dapat sundan. All right. Thank you very much for that question, and let's see. Question number 5 before we get to the questions ng ating mga viewers. So let's see. Ito po, hot topic po ito. Sabi, is age an impediment to employment? Kasi marami po tayong naririnig na quotes na, nako, matanda na ako, may edad na ako, mahihirapan na ako makahanap ng trabaho. Ano po ba, baka pwede nyo ikwento sa amin, attorney, ano po ba yung right now, ano po ba yung kalagayan ng issue na to? Ano ba yung mga legal protections dyan? Ano po yung practices in force about age in terms of employment?
Okay. Age is just a number, a statistics. It has nothing to do with performance, no? So we have a law, Republic Act 10911, the Anti-Age Discrimination Law. Meaning, the employer is prevented from discriminating an employee because of age. That's the reason why Article 78 of the Labor Code must be amended. Because under Article 78 of the Labor Code, age is a disability. It's no longer a disability. No? So kaya lang, may mga required tayong age. Like for example, under Republic Act 9231, the Child Workers Law, you cannot compel a child to work if he is below 15 years old unless directly under the supervision of the parents or guardian. Okay? Kasi ang working age natin na pinapayagan ay 15. Of course, 18 pwede na. Now, pagdating naman sa 60 to 65 ang retirement age for ordinary employees. For underground and surface miners under Republic Act 10757, 50 to 60 years old. Okay? So dumating siya ng 60 years old, empleyado, let's say sa isang factory, pinagre-retire ni employer. The employee does not want to retire at the age of 60. Then the employee cannot be compelled to retire at that age because the mandatory retirement age is 65. If you compel an employee to retire at an age earlier than 65, then that's constructive dismissal. Now, in another case, yung January 2023, no, Halagenia versus Philippine Airlines, the Supreme Court has declared as unconstitutional and invalid yung discriminatory retirement age practice. Kasi doon sa kumpanyang ito, yung mga female flight attendants pinagre-retire at the age of 55. Whereas male flight attendants, 60. So according to the court, that is discriminatory against women. And that cannot be allowed. So yun yung mga significant kung sa age.
Ayun. That's so we are breaking misconceptions here, no? Unang-una pa lang, no, age is just a number, 'di ba? And it has nothing to do with performance, and the laws have made sure for
Mm.
it no not to be an impediment per se when it comes to employment. Kaya ayun, pero kung meron pong napapansin siguro, attorney, what if mayroon pong company na talagang nakikita nila pag above 40, di kami mag-hire ng ganyan. May recourse po ba sa company na ganun?
Yeah, pwede yan. Kasi under Republic Act 10911, the employer may be charged in court at pwede siyang makulong. That's up to 3 years imprisonment. At saka ang multa niyan, 50,000 to 500,000 pesos. Basta mapatunayan na there was discrimination based on age. Kasi nga naman, as I said earlier, it's not the age, it's the performance. So I might be over 50, but I can do better than a 24 in terms of lecturing.
That's true. And in many cases po, no, experience might even serve as a better
Mm.
weapon, no, kaysa sa youth. And
Mhm.
that's a very nice insight to it po, no. So, that's our pre-prepared question. Sabi po natin, as promised sa ating mga listeners at sa mga taga-UMAXOL, very, very privileged opportunity to ask, no, si Attorney Duca himself, meron ba kayong questions? We already have a few entries po din. So, I'd like to call, ito pong unang from our guest. Meron po siyang question about labor law. Mark Joshua Fabula, may you please ask your question para malaman natin yung sagot.
Thunder. Hi, Dean. Good afternoon po. Good afternoon,
Hello.
everyone. Ayun po, my question po is in relation to the dismissal by an employer. So, on the ground po din of performance. So,
Mm.
it is very common in business process outsourcing setup din that a regular employee may be enrolled into what we called performance improvement plan or PIP. I'm not sure if it's still the right term right now that they use in the call center industry. So what's happening inside PIP din is that an employee who does not regularly meet his performance target or the KPIs or the metrics is enrolled in performance improvement plan for the next 3 to 4 months. So if employee does not improve his performance, he may be subject to administrative hearing and subsequent dismissal. You mentioned kanina din regarding po sa mga grounds, valid grounds na it could be generally, but the employer should provide like yung substantial or a strong evidence that they provided opportunities for the employee. Is it something po din that is like legal or can be done lawfully?
Yeah, that can be done lawfully kasi yung sabi mo kanina na sinasubject ka sa administrative hearing, that's already giving due process to the employee. So pinagpapaliwanag siya. Kaya lang dapat yung mga standards na dapat abutin in terms of performance, number one, doable kasi baka naman imposibleng maabot. So reasonable. And then, yung observance of due process. At saka, in one case, dapat bigyan mo siya ng opportunity to improve. Kasi pag hindi naman binigyan ng opportunity to improve, that might also be declared to be illegal dahil kawawa naman yung employee, di ba? Remember, nakataya dito yung livelihood niya at ng kanyang pamilya. So, and remember also under Article 4 of the Labor Code, in case of doubt, you resolve the doubt in favor of the employee. If there's doubt.
Okay, Dean. Thank you po. That's all, Dean.
Ayun.
Okay.
That's a very smart insight to it. No? In case of doubt. Keyword, doubt. Kapag meron lang doubt, no? Attorney, kapag wala pong doubt, hindi naman
Hindi.
automatic.
If there's no doubt, you do not interpret in anyone's favor kasi consistent ang Korte Suprema dyan that while the laws are intended to protect the workers, they are not intended to destroy or even oppress capital. So parehong may karapatan yan. That's why you only interpret if there is doubt.
Okay. Meron pa pong isang question, attorney. Ito po,
Sige.
twice siya natanong sa ating mga viewers, no? It's the same question essentially. Sabi, pwede bang gamitin ng leave credits while rendering after filing resignation? Kumbaga, instead of physically reporting to work during the rendering period, pwede po bang patakbuhin na lang ang leaves? Total, na-accumulate ko naman to. Pwede po ba yon?
Yeah, pwede yan. Kasi kung may natitira ka pang leave credit and you are entitled to that, no? Like for example, mayroon ka pang vacation leave na 15 days. na pag hindi mo nagamit, i-convert into cash, pwede mo nang gamitin yon. That's also being done in the government. Now, sa private sector, pwede yan. Kasi kung entitled ka doon, kaya lang alam nyo, ito kasing mga leaves na ito, no? These are company policies. So kung ang company policy, hindi i-convert into cash, and not a matter of right, parang privilege ito, what you can use is just the 5 days. Kasi yung Article 95 ng Labor Code, yun lang ang nagbibigay ng 5-day service incentive leave. That if you would not use that within 1 year, converted into cash equivalent. So wala tayong sick leave, vacation leave, bereavement leave, and sometimes broken-hearted leave. Walang ganyan eh. So kung ganon, ay 5 araw lang. Pero kung ito naman ay matter of privilege, pero everybody's been doing it kasi yan ay company practice na ninyo, you can use that para doon sa 30 days requirement.
On to the next question po. If you're ready, attorney, we'll ask our viewers kung kaya po mag-unmute. Si Mr. Abainza has a question. Would you want to unmute? Otherwise, I will read the question for you. Pero kung kaya mo mag-unmute, brother. Tara.
Dean, question lang po regarding
Sige lang.
work-related injury ng employee due to defective factory equipment of an employer. Ano po yung remedy ni employee? And entitled po ba siya sa yung sweldo niya pang araw-araw because of such injury?
Yeah. Alam mo, kung yan ay kasalanan ni employer, may negligence dahil defective, sabi mo defective yung equipment, na-injure yung employee, under Republic Act 11058, yung occupational and health and safety standards, pwede mag-claim dun si employee ng compensation for all those days na hindi siya nakapag-report kasi the employer is at fault. So kailangan lang ito maimbestigahan, pero ang dapat gawin niya, magreklamo siya dun sa regional office ng Department of Labor pagka hindi siya papasweldohin kasi it's not the fault of the employee. So sabi mo dun sa facts, defective yung makina o ano man, ay di si employer ang may kasalanan. Sabi ng employer, it's not you, it's me.
Thank you po, Dean.
Thank you very much for that answer. Mayroon pa pong isang question. No? This one is a little bit situational po, attorney. Sabi, kung ang employee po, let's say, pinag-work siya ng Monday, Tuesday, but Wednesday is a non-working holiday. Nag-work po siya ng Wednesday. Ngayon, dahil nag-work po siya doon, ang sinabi sa kanya ng employer niya, sige, wag ka na lang pumasok ng Thursday. But Thursday is an ordinary working day. Valid daw po ba ito? Parang nafe-feel yata nito nung nagtanong is parang hindi yata fair. Nag-work ako ng holiday tapos i-offset ako on a regular work day. Valid po ba yun, attorney?
Ganito yan. Depende yan, no? Kasi pag ordinary day, hindi ka nag-work, ang actual deduction 100% lang. But it depends on the kind of holiday. Kasi pagka ito ay special non-working holiday, if the employee does not work, no work, no pay. Ang general rule. Now, if the employee works, entitled siya sa additional 30% compensation. So, magiging 130% siya. May premium pay siyang additional na 30%. Now, if it is a regular holiday, under Article 94 of the Labor Code, pag hindi siya nagtrabaho, entitled siya sa 100%. Pag nagtrabaho siya, entitled siya sa 200%. So, doble. Kaya, hindi po pwede yung offsetting for a holiday. It depends on the kind of holiday, pero ang independent lang dyan yung compensation. But offsetting a holiday with an ordinary day is not normally allowed. Kasi lugi si employee, tama ang feeling niya, lugi siya. Kasi may additional compensation kapag ka holiday, either regular or special.
Alright, so takeaway, hindi pwede. Right? It's not fair. Hindi tama ang move na yon, no? Okay. We have another question po dito, no? From Mr. Baterna. I will read it for him. Kung pinatanong niya lang kay Mr. Ibahin, sasabi, what is the possible case for an employee for leaking corporate information and strategy or plans?
Well, kung ito kasi meron siyang tinatawag na non-competition agreement, baka pwede siyang kasuhan sa korte, ano? Or kung siya naman ay confidential employee, kaya nga may access siya doon sa confidential information, that's a ground for dismissal. Breach of trust and confidence.
I see. Okay. And from the same audience po, from the same attendee po, Is moonlighting really illegal in the Philippines?
Ay, depende yan sa buwan. Ano? Hindi, joke lang. Moonlighting is you are full-time in one employer and then nagpa-part-time ka or full-time with others. It depends. If your employer allows you to do that, then it's valid. Now, if the employer does not allow you to do that, it's invalid. No? So kaya, dapat manghingi ka muna ng permit for you to work part-time with some other companies. Kasi may mga employers na siloso. Tulad ng mga jowa na iba, siloso din. And rightfully so, kasi sila ang main employer mo eh. So, it depends on the policy of the employer. Mas maganda dyan, precautionary measure, magpaalam.
Right. That para safe, no? Para safe nga naman po. All right. So we have another question. This one is from our Facebook Live. Viewer siya sa Facebook Live. Sabi niya, na-terminate po, attorney, yung regular employee because the pay mistake, hindi na specify ni viewer. But without an issued NTE, notice to explain. Tapos nag-file daw po siya ng SENA at nagkaroon ng settlement na ibabalik siya sa work pero verbal lang. Almost 7 months na ang nakalipas pero hindi pa rin siya nababalik sa trabaho. Ano po kaya ang magandang recourse niya daw?
Dapat ka pumayag na verbal yung agreement ninyo sa SENA. SENA kasi means single entry approach. Yan yung mandatory conciliation dun sa Department of Labor or sa arbiter, kung saan man. Dapat ni-require mo that to put in writing your agreement para pipirmahan ng hearing officer. Tapos pag hindi in-enforce ng employer, no, you can go back to that hearing officer at ipa-enforce mo ito by asking for a writ of execution. So yun dapat yun. Pero kung verbal kasi, pwedeng itanggi yan eh. But just the same, balik ka dun sa hearing officer, isumbong mo na hindi ka inire-reinstate despite your verbal agreement. Tingnan natin. Kaya pagka ganyan, dapat ipapasulat ninyo. Kasi our courts are courts of records. Although, we all know na hindi naman lahat ng contracts kailangan nakasulat for their validity, yet the problem is enforceability. You can hardly enforce an oral contract. So dapat pagka may mga ganyang kasunduan, isulat nyo para meron tayong babalikan. Kaya pagka sinagot ka, ipasulat mo para babalikan mo yan later on.
Dapat in writing, attorney, mga pangako na mamahalin kita.
Pero 11 years naghihiwalay din, di ba?
Sino kaya? Pero yun po, no? Yun ang key takeaway po sa ating viewer, no? Next time po, perhaps be careful and put things in writing, lalo na po pag ganito. Kasi when it comes to settling this, it will be sort of a case of your word against mine. So it's really better, no, if it's in writing. So yun, maraming salamat po for participating with us and asking that question. Sana nasagot po namin yung question nyo. Okay, on to the next question. Sabi po dito, ito yung facts, no? Bale, may large number of employees and they were promised, pinangakuan sila na babayaran sahod nila once nabenta yung mga machine ng company. Kaso, nabenta na lahat, hindi pa rin sila nababayaran. And worse, nalaman nila na dismiss na pala sila, not following the proper procedure. They only discovered it. Ano daw po yung pwedeng remedy? And issue po ba yun kasi lumipas na ang 1 year? It has already been a year na hindi pa sila nababayaran.
Okay, so ang recourse ninyo, you go to the labor arbiter of the NLRC and file a case for illegal dismissal. Don't worry, pagka illegal dismissal, ang prescription period niyan ay 4 years. Meaning, within 4 years, file kayo ng kaso, pwede pa yan. So kung 1 year pa lang, pwede, file kayo ng illegal dismissal sa labor arbiter.
Ayun. So, that's the recourse. Okay, yun ang pwede nyong gawin, no? Because of that illegal dismissal. Alright, at 4 years. So, hindi naman issue na lumipas ang 1 taon bago ito na aksyonan legally. Alright, and yun, mayroon pang isang question from our Zoom attendees. For SSS home confinement, is it required to submit an SBA form within 5 calendar days after the start date of confinement? There are instances where the doctor might extend the home quarantine or confinement of the employee and di siya makasubmit nung requirement. So, yun po yung question niya.
Nire-require kasi yan ng SSS under Republic Act 11199. So, kung hindi maka-submit, siguro you make an affidavit explaining the reason why you cannot submit. Parang affidavit mo na yun ang dadalhin mo dun sa SSS. Attesting to the fact that there is inherent difficulty or impossibility of submitting the required documents. So yun ang recourse natin yan. Kasi mahigpit ang SSS pagdating dyan eh. Dahil alam nyo na, maraming scammer sa Pilipinas. Pati yung mga government institution na scam minsan yan eh. So better be safe than sorry. Kaya tayo naman, we have to comply with the requirements. Kaya kung hindi makukomply, execute an affidavit attesting to the fact that there's an impossibility of submitting it.
Ayun. So, essentially, an explanation po also, no? Yun po siya, na bakit hindi siya na-submit. So, yun po siya. Okay. There's another question. Yung napag-usapan po, follow-up question po siya dun sa offset. Paano, mukhang personal po talaga itong nangyari. Dahil sabi niya, paano daw po kung itong holiday work na equivalent sa offset, parang nasa handbook ng employer, meaning nasa guidelines po nila, will it give strength to the argument of the employer na, well, nasa contract natin, nasa policies natin na offset ang katumbas, ang kapalit ng pag-work on a holiday? Magiging valid po ba ang stand nila?
Okay, ganito yan. Kahit na ano pang policy ng employer, paglabag sa batas, hindi pwedeng ipatupad yan. Because the law should be followed at subordinated yung mga policies ng employer. May mga employers kasi na, may kliyente ako dati na ganyan eh. Pagka malapit na, yung holiday ay Thursday, so ginagawang Friday, parang yung birthday ni Bonifacio nililipat. Kaya lang, treated yun as a holiday. So halimbawa, pumasok ka nung holiday, tapos hindi ka pumasok nung ordinary day, bayad ka nun kahit hindi ka pumasok. Kasi pinagpalit niya lang yung schedule. But the benefits, walang effect. Kasi as is siya. So pwede yung ganong offsetting. Pero kung i-offset na wala siyang additional compensation, holiday yung hindi niya ipinasok, depende nga sa uri ng holiday, ay bawal yun.
Alright. Like you said po, attorney, no? Subordinate itong policies na to sa law. Hindi sila pwedeng magpatupad ng base sa kanilang gusto. Mga gusto nilang sundan na rules, no? Hindi siya ganon. And I think effect din yan, no, ng constitutional mandate na ang labor ay regulated by the state. Hindi po ito pwede sa mga manggagawa and employers natin diyan. We have to take heed of this rule, no? Hindi po ito private matter only. It's not only between the employer and the employee. You have to follow pertinent law. So yun yung sinabi ni attorney. All right, merong isa pang question. This one from our Zoom audience also. Okay lang po ba nakasama talaga sa qualification ng trabaho ang pleasing personality? Pwede daw po ba yan?
Pleasing kasi depende yan sa taong tumitingin eh. Ika nga, beauty is in the eyes of the beholder, hindi ba? So mali yun. That's discriminatory. That would be violative of Republic Act 11313, Safe Spaces Act. So pwede niyong i-invoke yun if that's the only reason ba't di ka tinanggap. Kasuhan mo for violating the Safe Spaces Act.
Parang grabe naman yun pag hindi ka natanggap kasi hindi malambing boses mo. Kasi hindi ka maka-work dahil hindi malaki yung smile mo, 'di ba? Hindi naman tama 'yan, friends. So, 'yun. Okay, i-entertain natin yung sa mga last few questions natin. The other one is also from Jazz.
Hi, Dean. It's me again.
Hi.
Last question na po ito, Dean, for today. Yes po. So, this is in relation to a bond that an employer may impose po upon sa employment contract. So, as to what extent po can an employer impose a specific bond sa employment contract which requires an employee to somehow refund the expenses back to the employer in case po of non-compliance or breach of contract of the said agreement? Does the employer po ba din have the authority to impose the amount they prefer? Because I know a specific financial institution which requires 100,000 pesos bond if you resign or if you would not be able to complete like a year period of their employment po. Or does the bond or the amount would be based from the total costs or expenses that they have spent po in an actual training?
Okay, so maraming issue dito. Number one, yung band na sinasabi sa labor code allowed yan. Article 114, 115, yung tinatawag natin deposit for loss or damage. But the employer has to prove, as in the case of Ninya Pawn Shop versus Montecillo, the employer has to prove na ito ay in the nature of the industry na talagang nire-require mag-ban. Kasi in one case, yung 5J taxi versus NLRC, yung taxi driver pinagpo-post ng ban, sabi ng Korte Suprema, bawal yan. It's not in the nature of the taxi industry. So yun. Tapos, pangalawa, yung deposit na yan, as legally mandated by the labor code, to answer for loss or damage. So kung wala ka namang na-loss or na-damage, ay hindi mababawasan yung deposit mo. And the deposit must be reasonable amount. Take a look, for example, yung mga security guards. May alam ako ng mga security agency, pinagbaband nila ng 20,000 pesos yung kanilang mga security guards upon hiring. Para saan? Because they will be issued service firearms na may lisensya, di ba? So baka mawala yun, doon natin i-charge doon sa band mo or deposit. But not all industries are allowed to have that kind of ban. Now, on the other issue, yung training cost. Ay sabi natin kanina at the opening of our podcast, ay kailangan may actual training. And the total cost of training is known not only to the employer, but also to the employee concerned. Magkano ba yung ginastos ko sa'yo? Para yun naman ang ibabalik mo if ever you will not be able to complete the contract. Pero yung simple lang na magtatrabaho ka, pumirma ka ng employment contract na hindi ka mag-iiwan for 1 year, but you have a change of heart after 2 months. Magbaban ka, magbabayad ka ng penalty, that's not allowed. Magbibigay ka lang, comply with the requirements of the labor code, give a notice, written notice, 30 days ahead. Okay? Pag ayaw pa rin niyang pumayag, iwanan mo na because that would be construed as involuntary servitude. Di ba? Kahit na binabayaran ka, kung ayaw mo na yung trabaho mo, ayaw mo nang gawin, involuntary servitude yan. Remember Article 3, Section 18, Paragraph 2 of the Constitution, no involuntary servitude in any form shall exist, except as a punishment for a crime whereof the party shall have been duly convicted. Hindi ka pwedeng pagtrabahuhin against your will. Wala na yung mga Kastila.
Thank you po, Dean.
Welcome.
Ayun. Wala na yung mga Kastila. We are free. Right? We are free. Hindi pwede ang involuntary servitude. So, yun, very, very insightful po. And siguro last, no, I think nasagot na ang mga katanungan ng taong bayan. May follow-up question lang po yung nag-ask kanina na viewer about yung na-terminate po na regular employee because of a mistake without the NTE, and then nag-file siya ng SENA, and then almost 7 nag-promise na ibabalik sa work pero hindi pa binabalik. Na-answer niya na po yun kanina, yung recourse niya. Ang follow-up question niya daw po dun sa verbal agreement sa SENA is meron daw formal complaint filed sa law arbiter, I'm assuming labor arbiter, and position papers were asked. So illegal dismissal daw po yung case. Can I ask for my salary from the time na na-terminate po ako until now? Yun po yung question.
Hindi pa siguro kasi kung pinag-file pa kayo ng position paper, dapat nag-file ka. Kasi ang ibig sabihin niyan, hindi talaga kayo nagkasundo. So after the mandatory period of 1 month or 30 days, pinag-file kayo ng position paper ng labor arbiter, so dapat mag-file ka. Hindi ka pa entitled sa salary mo kasi wala pang desisyon si labor arbiter. Pag nag-decide si labor arbiter, after, alam nyo, yan dapat kung sinusunod lang talaga no, sa ilalim ng Article 224 ng Labor Code, within 30 days from the filing of the last pleading. Ano ba yung last pleading? Rejoinder. So from the time na nag-file ka ng rejoinder, within 30 days dapat may decision ng arbiter. So doon natin malalaman kung entitled ka ba sa reinstatement at back wages. Kasi kung sinabi ni arbiter na legal yung dismissal, you're not entitled to back wages and reinstatement. So ang gagawin mo dyan, mag-aapila ka sa NLRC within 10 days from receipt of the decision of the arbiter.